Number 1. Which of the following is equivalent to the farad? So farad is a unit of capacitance, and we know that Q equals to CV. So C would be equals to Q by V, where Q is the charge and V is the voltage. So the unit of charge is Coulomb and the unit of voltage is volts. So C by V. C by V is B. So the answer to number 1 is B. A potential difference V is applied across two identical capacitors of capacitance C connected in series. Which of the following expressions is the total energy on the capacitors? So let us illustrate this diagrammatically. This is a cell of potential difference V and two capacitors are connected to it. So if we have V here, the potential difference across each capacitor would be V by 2. Since the potential difference in a series circuit adds up, so V total is this, V total equals to V by 2 plus V by 2, which is equals to V. So V total will be equals to V always, since the potential differences across a series is added. So we have V by 2 and V by 2 here. We also know that the energy is equals to half CV square. So let's calculate the energy of one capacitor. One capacitor is half CV square. So V is actually V by 2 of each. So for example, we are calculating the energy stored in this capacitor. So this would be CV by 2 squared, which is 1 by 8 CV square. So 1 by 8 CV square is the total energy stored in one capacitor. So the energy stored in this capacitor would also be the same, 1 by 8 CV square. So the total is stored in both is 1 by 8 CV square plus 1 by 8 CV square, which is 1 by 4 CV square. So the answer is A. Two parallel conducting plates are separated by a distance d. Potential difference V is applied between the plates and a charge Q is placed halfway between them as shown. Which of the following gives the magnitude of the force acting on the charge? So the force on the charge is denoted by F equals to EQ, and we also know that E equals to the potential difference by charge, the potential difference by distance. So this potential difference and the distance between them. So we can also write here E equals to V by D, so V by D into Q, which is VQ by D. So the answer is D, since it is the only answer that matches. Number 4. A current carrying wire is placed perpendicular to a magnetic field of magnetic flux density 0.05 Tesla. So it is perpendicular to a magnetic field. So that means the current carrying wire is at 90 degrees to the magnetic field, 90 degrees. The length of the wire in the field is 10 centimeter and the force on the wire is 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 Newton. Which of the following is the current in the wire? So we have to find the current. We know the force acting, length of wire, and flux density. So we know the formula F equals to BIL sine theta, where theta equals to 90 degrees since it says that it is perpendicular to the magnetic field. We know the magnetic flux density, we know the current, and we know the length of wire in the field. So let's take it. The magnetic flux density is 0.05 into the current, which is what we have to find out, into length of wire, which is 10 centi is 10 to the power minus 2, into sine 90, since it says that it is perpendicular to the field, and the force acting on the wire is 2 into 10 to the power minus 3. So the current will be 0.4 ampere. So the answer to this question is D, since 4 into 10 to the power minus 1 ampere is 4 into 1 by 10 ampere, which is 0.4. So the answer is D. Number 5. Which row of the table shows the quark structure of a meson and its antimeson? So meson is a particle which has quark structures of one quark and another quark. For example, we have strange quark here and top anti-quark here. So this is what a meson looks like. A meson consists of a quark and its anti-quark. So here we have, for up-down quark, one meson would be this and its anti-meson would be this, or one meson would be this and its anti-meson would be this. So either of the two would be the answer. So the answer is A. The answer is not B, since they are arranged differently. See here, this is UD and this is DU. It should be UD, UD. So the answer is A. Number 6. A particle has mass 3.4 giga-electron-volt per c square. Which of the following is the mass of the particles in kg? So to get the mass of the particles in kg, we need to get rid of the prefixes. So as I had said earlier, that to add a prefix, we divide, and to remove a prefix, we multiply. So the prefixes are these. The giga is a prefix, electron volts is a prefix, c square is a prefix, all of these are prefixes. So if we get rid of giga electron volt per c square, we would get the mass of the particles in kg. This question is quite repetitive, so let's see. 3.4, we have to get rid of the electron volt and giga. So for giga is 10 to the power 9. So to get rid of 10 to the power 9, we have to multiply. So 3.4 into 10 to the power 9 into we have to also get rid of electron volts. So 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. And to get rid of 1 by c square, we need to multiply it by 1 by c square, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8. So 3 into 10 to the power 8 square. So which of the following matches with the options here? D matches. So the answer is D. Number 7. The diagram shows the track of two particles, P and Q, created from an original particle at the point X. Which of the following can be concluded from this diagram? So A, P and Q have equal and opposite momentum. So this might be true that every collision or explosion have equal and opposite momentum, but from this diagram we cannot determine this. So for example, this particle X can be stationary or it might be moving before the explosion take place, the separation take place, anything. And beside that, we do not have proper measurements here of where the particles are going. For example, from here, this can have a certain horizontal momentum and a certain vertical momentum. So we do not have enough data to calculate the momentum itself. So we cannot conclude actually whether they have equal and opposite momentum or not. Part B, the original particle had no charge. So this is the correct answer, since we know that before any collision in our physics syllabus, before any explosion, the initial charge would be 0. So afterwards, after this separation, one would have a positive charge and another would have negative charge. So the initial charge would be neutral. So the original particle had no charge for this. The original particle was stationary. The original particle might have been stationary, but enough data is not given in the diagram. Part D, there is a magnetic field acting into the page. Same for this again. Enough data is not given in the diagram. For example, if they said that this is positive and this was negative, this spiral was a spiral of a negative charge and this of a positive charge, then by Fleming's left-hand rule, we could have determined whether it is true or not. So this also cannot be concluded from this diagram, since enough information is not given. So the answer is B. Number 8. The drum of a washing machine rotates at a rate of 1200 rotations per minute. What is the angular velocity in radians per second? So here we have the formula omega, which is angular velocity. Omega equals to 2 pi by t. So here it says that it rotates at 1200 rotations per minute. So 1200 rotations mean it completes 2 pi radians 1200 times in 1 minute, which is 60 seconds. So the answer for this comes as 125.6 radians per second. So the answer to this is C. Number 9. A body of mass m and momentum p and kinetic energy Ek. Which of the following is the kinetic energy of a body of mass 2m and momentum 2p? So we have kinetic energy and momentum. So we just need to compare this kinetic energy with the new kinetic energy of this body. So we know that K equals to p square by 2m. This is the kinetic energy of this. So for the other body, the kinetic energy would be something like this. K equals to p square, right? But we have 2p here. So 2p square divided by 2 into m. M is 2m. So we have 2m here. So we would have 4p square by 4m, which is p square by m. So p square by m, we have p square by m here. So we can actually write 2 into p square by 2m. So here this is actually equal to this, since these 2's cancel out, but since we have p square by 2m, so we need to convert this into p square by 2m so that we can substitute this k value here. So we would have 2k. So for this answer, the answer is B. Number 10. Electrons can be used to investigate atomic nuclei. Which of the following is not a reason why electrons can be used for such an investigation? So which one is not a reason why electrons can be used to investigate the atomic nuclei? So for part A, electrons can be accelerated to very high speeds. Yes, this is true. This is a reason. Part B, electrons can have wavelengths similar to that of the atomic radii. Yes, this is right, since when we have a similar wavelength of electrons, there will be diffraction, and depending on the diffraction, we will know the atomic radii. For example, if an electron have a certain wavelength lambda, and if there is diffraction of the electron, then we would know that the size of the wavelength is equal to or comparable to the atomic nuclei size. So B is also correct. Electrons have negative charge. Electrons have negative charge. This is correct. But this is not used for the investigation to investigate the atomic nuclei. Like protons are positive charge, and they can also be used. So this is not a perfect reason due to which electrons are used. So C is the answer. D. Electrons can undergo diffraction. This is right. These two options are quite similar. So the answer is C. I have made a playlist on Unit 4. So if you are now studying Unit 4, you can just go over the playlist, and I have compiled all the videos on that. You can click on the playlist and watch all the videos if you want.